Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today, it's going to be a match between IdrA and Gas, but it is another name for the player named ZerG kaL. He was selected in the first draft. Well, yes, the first draft of 2009 by SK Telecom 1 back in 2009. And yeah, he's going to first face up against IdrA in this StarCraft Brood War Remastered replay. And it's Carbot. Top left-hand corner-ish is the orange ZerG player. We're going to call him ZerG, which might get confusing, but we'll roll with it. And at the top side of the map, it is the purple Terran player IdrA. What did he say in chat, you guys? I don't... fine, we'll do it. We'll do it. Let's go back a little bit here. Is there chat here? Terran is IdrA? No? What? Why would you think that? He must run up against him on ladder and just be like, hold on, is this IdrA? And yeah, IdrA is Terran, and he plays for TSL, so I don't know if IdrA is just trying to like mess with the guy or what. That does kind of fit with IdrA's personality, as he would be a little bit bad manner to get an advantage, also be bad manner to like lose an advantage too. Anyway, there's a rumor out, says ZerG. It's ZerG kaL. The kaL tag is pretty popular. Played for SK Telecom 1 in 2009 and 2010. Moved over to NBC Game Hero in 2010. Played for them for a while. And then retired, I assume, around the same time as everybody else did, with the dissolution of Kespa. Is a Mexico player. Really? Okay, says IdrA. Bit confused as to what is going on here, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine. Did I not... the sound's too high? Yep, had it bumped up after a live cast, a live stream here on YouTube, and did not turn it down again. Actually, maybe it was on Twitch. Either way, I live stream StarCraft both on YouTube here, which you've probably seen. You've probably seen the VODs, and it probably has told you that I'm live at some point in your life. And then additionally, I do stream on twitch.tv/Falcon Paladin every Sunday. I'm doing the Carbot campaign, which is a lot of fun here. Oh, IdrA. Oh, IdrA. He never did learn, did he? I don't think he did. SCV scouting here on Tornado. Did I mention we're on Tornado? We're on Tornado. Look how happy the larvae are to be happy. They're just... I love it. I really enjoy this. Carbot, you're an artistic genius. I like your stuff. I hear you guys that say you don't like it, but we are doing this every once in a while because. All right. People do. And generally, the minority that is vocal is louder than the majority that is not vocal, and I think that's the case. All right, so spawning pool up in a position where it emphasizes efficient mining of the Vespene gas. And the Overlord Scout is okay. Opening up barracks, not two barracks. Opening up racks into an expansion. And then into gas. All right. So not two racks pressure here from IdrA. Popping out two Zerglings. And his hatchery is already done here. All right, man. So pretty darn standard at this point. I don't think there's going to be a Ling flood incoming. And IdrA just checking to make sure how many Lings pop out of these eggs. And yeah, scouting is really, really important, you guys. Two Lings pop out, no big deal. And just looking to see if there are any more coming. And yes, there's another two coming out. But four Lings can't do very much against Terran at this stage of the game. And this is going to be a bunker. Yep, a little bit of a bunker here. Just to make sure. Just to make sure everything's going to be okay. And this SCV is providing bait so that the Lings don't go across the map and maybe kill two Marines and an SCV and halt the bunker construction. Then all of a sudden you're flooded with Lings and you're hating life. IdrA knows how this is going on. So the SCV gets dropped, but the bunker is up and it's filled with two Marines. Three Marines, in fact, and it covers the mineral line as well as the attempt to run up into the main base. So this is really well placed here out of the Terran player IdrA, which is beautiful. There's still a part of me that thinks he plays ZerG, because he did play ZerG in StarCraft 2 for many years. Like a long time, man. Wings of Liberty, he was one of the top players who was playing a lot and getting cast a bunch too. So anyway, Terran Academy coming up. He is working on STEM for his Marines. bunker defending. We got a lunchbox down here. Mr. SCV is constructing a supply depot. He does need to get that lunch. And then a third hatch coming up. Drone coming on down. There is a bit of a petition out for drones to be given wings. Because look, they have wings in Brood War. Why are they just little featureless blobs here in Carbot? The SCVs have good details to them. The probes have good details to them. We need wings. We need wings on these dudes. All right, it is a Spire on the way from our ZerG player, ZerG, which just means we're going to expect some 2-base mutalisk play. IdrA has seen this a bajillion times at this stage. I believe this replay is from 2010. At least that's when it was posted on Team Liquid. So maybe a little bit before that, but I don't think too far before. I don't know. Range on the way from the Marines, too. Still no third hatch here from ZerG, which he can afford to do so. I'm not sure why he is choosing to not do that. Spire there. He is going to throw up a couple Sunkens to deal with a potential Marine push. That is going to be here before the mutas pop out, before he has additional lings ready to go. And there's your third hatch. So it seems a little bit late here. Not spending his money exceptionally well is ZerG, but he's got 5 mutas on the way. He recognizes this build about 5.5 minutes. Mutalisks are in production, and is there an engineering bay? It's on the way. This feels late, man. Feels like you want an engineering bay before now, but he is going to have Marines with range and stim very soon with medic support. So that worries me. That worries me as a ZerG player. The ZerG, I mean, at this stage, I think you fly around and start going after SCVs and force the Terran player to respond to you. Maybe gonna. He sees the mutas, I think, for the first time. He would already have missile turrets in production if he knew that there are mutalisks coming. He's begging that engineering bay to finish very quickly. The mutalisk dancing about. Only 5 of them is not really enough to pick off Marines at the edge of this group, especially if the group is doing a good job at staying together, as they are now. And actually not worrying about missile turrets here, surprisingly. There we go. Now there's a missile turret in production, but it's not like he's going crazy with them or anything. He really recognizes the Marines are the bigger threat here. If the Marines A move into this natural base, everything dies, and the mutas have to protect that as best as they can. More mutalisks in production here. We're looking at a total of 9, with 2 more on the way. Third base is getting saturated a little bit here. ZerG's a bit late to get his drones to work, but again, he is microing his face off, trying to keep these mutalisks alive, as he is at a total of 10. Another one on the way. Does get a Marine there. And loses a mutalisk for it. I thought I heard a mutalisk death scream in there, but I wasn't sure. Hydralisk then on the way to follow this thing up. Another muta down for a Marine. These are bad trades. These are not good trades for the ZerG player at all. IdrA looking good. Looking pretty good here. So just hanging out in the middle of the map. Oh, losing a medic there. As soon as I say he's looking good, loses a medic, which is a huge problem. Another couple Marines go down, and I think we are in danger zone right now for IdrA. He needs to retreat and retreat now. At least get reinforcements. Oh, medics getting hit. That medic very low on HP, needs some 11 heart to come in there. But what this does is it allows ZerG to saturate his third base to get his gas up and going. IdrA not super interested in going for a third base at this stage. He's throwing up missile turrets all over the place. But yeah, Lurker aspect on the way here. The ZerG player has been given the time to tech up to that. He has 8 mutalisks. Not the 10 he had previously, not the 11 he should have had, but another one goes down. Now we're working on 7. So actually, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 7 total, which is not super ideal. But again, the Lurker aspect is on the way. It's bought a lot of time for that to happen. Mutalisks. Oh, could have killed one or something there. A medic and a Marine, possibly. More and more mutas in production. Still droning up. Still trying to make sure he's on his third base economy. Mutalisks picking off a Marine again. Another couple go down. If you have these stacked up and there's enough damage. Oh, Ling's coming in, and that's going to be it. That's going to be all she wrote for this group. That is a nice job by ZerG, wiping out the entire Bioforce there that was out on the map for IdrA. He's got reinforcing units, obviously. He's been making stuff the whole time. So the mutas are not going to come in here and win, obviously, but he is, again, trying to keep that Marine count as low as he can. Queen's Nest coming up from the ZerG player, ZerG, here inside the main base. Again, third base, fairly well saturated. No reason to go for a fourth. If IdrA is just content to stay on here on 2 bases for the first 10 minutes and continue making barracks, But eventually there's going to be Dark Swarm, and eventually there's going to be Lurkers, and eventually this bio is not going to do super well versus that, especially not Marines. So Queen's Nest is just about done here. This is a pretty early Queen's Nest at about 9 minutes. We have seen this before. Rhett did something similar against IdrA in a game that I cast a while ago. If you didn't see that one, it's not on the Carbot skin, but it is a very good game between Rhett and IdrA. Two very popular and good players from back in the day when Brood War was a thing. Lurkers continuing to be produced. Okay, I'm sorry. Brood War is still a thing. I didn't mean to say that, but back when Brood War was the only thing and the only show in town, Rhett and IdrA were pretty popular in their own rights. That is a hive coming up somewhere here at the natural base. There's a hive. IdrA hasn't really been able to do any damage to the economy of ZerG at all. And as a result, this third base is fairly well saturated. He's got a ton of gas here at about 10 minutes. Mutalisk's heading up for harassment, but this missile turret count is kind of insane. There are 6 of them protecting the main base. The Mutalisks are like, can we? No? All right, cool. We're just going to head out then. How about the natural base? Well, there's a turret there and a bunch of Marines. So it's not the turret so much as the sheer number of Marines that are here. These guys are coming home, which honestly is exactly what ZerG wants him to do, is I need you to go home, he says. Let me have my third base. Let me... Oh, Mutalisk's getting caught out a little bit. Did not lose an additional Mutalisk, which he's very lucky. That did not happen. But Scourge in production to deal with the science vessels that he just now scouted being produced, which is so good. Hive is almost done, and then a Defiler mound, and then IdrA might be in a bit of trouble here with his bio. He has a small window in which to maybe do something here, but there are so many Lurkers. There are so many Lurkers here. You can split like your life depends on it if you're IdrA. I don't know if you're killing all of these Lurkers. Maybe if you're... Oh, nice pull on the science vessel. Did not lose it to those Scourge. A lesser player would have flown directly into those Scourge and died. Lurkers taking the high ground, which the Marines have no interest in engaging into. They have stimmed, and they are heading up to the natural base where there are 2 Lurkers present and a Sunken. A Radiate going down on one of the Lurkers would be nice. If he has a Radiate, and I'm not sure that he does. Yeah, some pretty good spines there, but Lurkers down, and let the push commence. Sunkens do not stand very well against this many Marines, especially if they happen to have +1 attack and range and stim. Lurker's trying to get on top of this bio and burrow in, and whoa, we got the burrow. And yeah, Zerglings coming in at the same time. A lot of Lurkers died, but this whole Marine bio group and all the medics end up dead here too. So I'm not sure if that was a good trade for IdrA. It feels like he got a lot of Lurkers, which is nice, but he lost all of his medics. He's got another group ready to rock. His macro is very good. That's one thing he's been very known for. His entire history of StarCraft, whether it be 1 or 2, is his macro, but consumes in production. We've got adrenal glands on the way for the Zerglings, and eventually Dark Swarm is going to be here. And Dark Swarm is going to change your game. Marines and medics are not going to be enough. Tanks are in production, so he recognizes where the meta is shifting to. Not really the meta, but the game state. Where the game state is shifting to, he needs tanks here. Probably could use some fire bats too. Starport on the way for additional science vessel production, and enough science vessels to irradiate every one of these Lurkers, if at all possible. He burrows this one in because he knows it's going to die, and he just hopes the Terran bio will get close enough for him to kill a couple. But nope, he's ended up completely dead here. 4th base on the way from ZerG. And I think IdrA needs to get a major victory here soon. He needs to take down the natural base or take down this 4th base. I don't think he can go into the late stages of this game without having done either of those things. Tanks setting up. Oh, Lurker's on the high ground, actually. Interesting. But then the science is still providing high ground spotting. Tanks set up really good against these Lurkers. Where are the Defilers? Nidus kaL on the way, but I do not see any Defilers on the field whatsoever. Oh, there we go. There's one. There's one here. Is consuming Scourge in his desperation. And he throws up the Dark Swarm, and the Lurkers get inside the Dark Swarm, and it is time to go. Everybody has to get out. That tank is down. The bio has to retreat from that position. Dark Swarm has changed the game for ZerG right there, and that is what you got to do, man. If you're going to be a ZerG player, you want to be a professional Brood War guy, you got to have Dark Swarm out eventually. Sooner the better here. Seen it as soon as 10 or 11 minutes. 14 minutes is also good. And look at this. It forces the Terran player to flee. Protects all of the units inside it from every range attack that exists. Splash damage still affects it. Melee range damage still affects it. Things like Zerglings, things like Zealots, things like Firebats still do good stuff under that Dark Swarm. But the Marines are utterly ineffective against Lurkers inside Dark Swarm. Still headed down here. IdrA, his macro's insane. He's on 2 bases. I think he needs to kill this base. Is he going to be able to do it? I don't know. These Lurker eggs trying to pop. How close are they to popping now? And there's the burrow, but there's the focus. Lurker's getting some, wow, pretty good spines out, but not enough. Ooh, is it enough? There's some Lurkers coming from the backside, too. There's a handful of Marines here. They're going to try to take down the hatchery. This is a lot easier to handle for ZerG when the number of Marines is this low rather than what it was previously. So the Lurker attack's doing some pretty good stuff, but not enough. And the hatchery is going to go down to these Marines. Nicely done. +2 attack and +1 armor on these guys. Hatchery ends up exploding. Ling's coming in to avenge the death of their base. And all these medics are going to die here too. So IdrA getting some good stuff done, but once again losing a large section of his army. Also trying to take a third base up here towards the ZerG player. He does end up scouting it. He sees that it's there. Scourge, catching a couple science vessels. That is what you want to do with those Scourges. Keep that science vessel count low. When you start seeing science vessel counts in the, like 9 or 10, it's really bad, it turns out. As a Lurker dies to irradiate, another Defiler going to die to irradiate here before he can cast another spell, very tragically for him. I'm not sure if he has Plague. I haven't seen that come up in the production tab here, but I mean, Dark Swarm is pretty good stuff as it is. It's 105 to 83 supply. IdrA has the lead with all of this bio, with all the science vessels, just irradiating science vessel, irradiating the Lurkers over and over and over. Kindness plating on the way. We're going to see Ultras in this game as we get past the 15.5-minute mark. Zerglings trying to find what they can do, but there are too many Marines. And then the Dark Swarm comes up. Surprise, Dark Swarm! Oh, and there is a Plague. Oh, that is a great Plague. That caught almost everybody in this group. The Marines running away in their little footy pajamas. And then Lurkers plus everybody plagued. Oh, you thought Lurkers were good against bio before. When there is Plague on these units and they're down to 1 HP, they are extra susceptible to that splash damage for sure. Zergling's trying to get up this ramp, but there are Marines and a tank here, so no. But yeah, ZerG has all of the things he needs to get a successful victory here. If he can take down this third base, he's pretty much won, I want to say. He's replaced the fourth. He's got a fifth base coming up. Zergling's running. This Lurker not very fast, as it turns out, above ground. Actually, not fast underground either, because it can't move when it's burrowed. But Science Vessels just making their way across the high ground here and irradiating a Defiler. Irradiating a Lurker. I mean, IdrA's playing this pretty darn well. Dark Swarm coming up before that Defiler dies. Great reaction time from ZerG making that happen. Scourge trying to find Science Vessels to wipe out. And there's a couple here. You could probably get these two. Maybe the third one if you were lucky. But, oh, another great Plague. There are Fire Bats in the mix now. Fire Bats in here doing pretty well against the Lurkers and against the Zerglings. And Fire Bats in the mix are, we don't see it enough, honestly, in ZVT, but IdrA is making good use of it here, without question. A Plague on the Science Vessels, but the Hive is going to get sniped. It's at the natural base. What a major pickup for IdrA there. Fantastically done, but the Scourge doing serious work. Just one hit, and then one hit, and the Science Vessel count is down to 3. Maybe just 2. Right now, but the Marines seem unstoppable coming up this ramp. There is an Ultralisk, and there is a Defiler with some stuff to consume. A Dark Swarm on this ramp, and then the Ultras getting on top of it would be really good. Another Plague instead. Okay, that's going to suck a lot of the energy off of these medics. Overlord's going down. IdrA's up 142 to 95 supply. There you go. Dark Swarm up. Zerglings do not want to engage with these Fire Bats at all, but a lot of Marines getting wrecked there under that Dark Swarm. And Ultras versus Fire Bats is not even fair. The Ultras are going to destroy the Fire Bats if they stand and fight, which is why they are running as fast as their little legs can take them. I love it. The Ultra chased you, though. Oh, no. The medics are on hold position, but it's not enough. I mean, that was good positioning by IdrA, but yeah. So Natural Base goes down. Hive goes down, but the tech stays alive. Ultralisk Cavern, Queen's Nest, Defiler's Mound down here in the south. So far, so good from ZerG. He lost the Hive, but all of his other tech was kind of split up among other bases, which helps immensely. Ooh, moving into drops at the 19-minute mark. Scourge taking down that dropship, and Ultralisk cleaning everything else out. That Ultra popped out at nigh the perfect time, honestly. Ultralisk gets irradiated, which will weaken him, but not kill him with just a single one. irradiate on the Ultralisks and the Defilers. They will hurt the Zerglings around them. Oh, the Science Vessel count. IdrA's been so good at making Science Vessels. He keeps losing them, but he's replacing them exceptionally well. Another drop at the 5th base of ZerG this time. He's going to lose this hatchery to the Marines with +3 attack and +2 armor. And they may not get out of here alive, but by golly, they took down a hatchery, and that's all you need to do here. IdrA's macro is just on point right now. Ultras are, again, pretty happy to just wreck Marines as much as they can, especially when they have 5 armor. Just Marine attacks don't do much against them, and that's because, again, armor comes into play during every attack. Marines attack very fast for relatively small amounts, and every one of those attacks is negated to some extent by the armor, which is why tanks are really good, because they hit for really big attacks at a time. Man, irradiate on these Ultras, just... they look stinky, is what they look like here. Taking a base in the bottom right. IdrA kind of trying to sneak a 4th base down there. He's looking good, you guys. This might be the best IdrA has looked in a game ever that I've cast on this channel. At least for the Brood War. I did cast some... did I cast some StarCraft 2 of his? I think he was retired by the time I started casting StarCraft 2, unfortunately. That Defiler did not get a cast off. Dark Swarm is up, and this Ultralisk having a great time inside the Dark Swarm. Don't go outside the Dark Swarm, buddy. Just stay inside and you'll be just fine. Defiler casting another Dark Swarm. You're not safe yet. And a Plague, and the Ultras chewing through these guys. ZerG needed a major win here, and that feels like a major win. He's getting on top of these tanks to try to wipe them out. Taking some tank fire in the process, but all the tanks are getting completely wiped out here. That Ultra gets killed by Plague Marines. This Ultralisk has 6 total kills. He is running back home to try to regenerate some of that health. The Science Vessel count, as I said, is terrifying right now for IdrA. 5th base is replanted from ZerG. He's doing a good job with that. He's making Ultralisk, he's making Defilers, and it's just going to be tanks, Marines, and more Science Vessels from the Terran player here, IdrA. Making it happen. Pretty good Sim City up here, too. Really enjoying what we're seeing there. Right side base is done. Did take his sneaky 4th, but hasn't done anything with it, and it did just get scouted by a Zergling. So I think there might be a small force coming down here to make sure this never happens, and IdrA stays on 3 bases, which would be really advantageous for ZerG here. This is not as confusing as I thought it was going to be. Just calling him ZerG seems to work. I don't know why. Either way, we've got Ultras, we've got Lings, we've got Defilers, and Terran players everywhere say this is where things start to go bad. But good Plague. Man, great Plague. He's replacing his Spire because he definitely wants some Mutalisks to deal with these plagued Science Vessels. My gosh, they are stinky Ultras. Just irradiating stink clouds everywhere they go. Zergling's coming up this way, hiding, it looks like. Hiding on this high ground on Tornado, which is pretty cool, actually. Looks like a ninja star in the middle. A little bit. And, yeah, the Zergling did actually start going after the 4th base, which is awesome. But this is really scary, big Terran army coming down this way. Forward Science Vessels irradiating all the things. Losing the Spire was a huge problem for ZerG and a major victory for IdrA. Lings running to their deaths here. Dark Swarm does come up. Defensive Matrix coming up on a Marine. We have not seen Defensive Matrix in Carbot yet. It looks cool. It looks like he's an airbender, is what it looks like. Anyway, the Ultra's getting wiped out, and I think IdrA might be on a bit of a victory rampage right here. Ultralisk cannot stand. Desperation Lings coming in and try to save the 5th base. Not happening. This is a good feeling for Terran fans everywhere to just see the bio just coming on in with their +3 attack and +3 armor, melting any Zerglings that come within their way here. And IdrA, despite losing that 4th base, does take down the 5th base of the ZerG player for the 2nd time today. Still continuing to irradiate all of the things. There are Scourge in production, 3 sets of Scourge, for a total of 6 against these Science Vessels, many of whom are severely and critically wounded. Specifically 5 of them, but there are still 5 that are not wounded. Consume coming up. Ultralisks pulling back as the Science Vessel Brigade is here. Irradiating the Defilers. A Plague would be so good. Just throw it down. Get it. Okay, so he got it. He got it. How many additional... Oh, this is so much irradiation. I don't know if I've ever seen this much irradiate. Oh, the single Mutalisk chase it down, but he got irradiated too. He's here to kill irradiated science vessels, and he gets irradiated first. Oh, the humanity and the shame of it. Are any of these science vessels good to go? 6. 6 of them are just about dead. And 4 of them, I'd say, are healthy enough to not have to be worried about, but... So technically it's 4 bases to 3 bases. I think ZerG should be in a better place than he is. He's really good with Dark Swarm. I'm impressed with the quality of this guy right now, but... At the end, this is a ton of bio and so many science vessels who are staying close to these Marines because they know a single mutalisk can really wreck their day. Tempted base on the left side here by ZerG. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to take this before today, but the cancel happens as the Marines show up at the worst possible time. Mutalisk ready to go. A defensive matrix on this one Marine to scout up and see exactly what we're dealing with here. Keeping the science vessels away from the Mutalisks. Muta goes down. This might be it. I mean, Zerglings did shut down attempt the 4th base here. 4th base on the right side is getting protected by a bunch of Marines. Another incredible plague on all of this bio. Does he have another Dark Swarm? He does have another Dark Swarm, and he's chasing the bio back once again. Unless you get outside of the Dark Swarm, and then you die really fast. Ultralisks coming in here one at a time, irradiating the Defiler. And he ends up killing Marine with the irradiation before he goes down. So, I mean, this is not a healthy group of bio, but honestly, it's better than what we're seeing out of the ZerG player. Got Lings, it's got Ultras, he's got a handful of Mutalisks here trying to catch these science vessels. Has not been able to do so for quite some time, but this 4th base by IdrA in a lot of trouble again. So it means forcing a liftoff. This is the one source of income that IdrA has right now. Whereas ZerG is still happily mining from 2 bases. We'll make it 3 bases counting the natural if he can hold on to this thing. So economically, the ZerG player is in a great position, but army supply just hugely favors the Terran. Another Ultralisk gonna go down. There are no Defilers protecting, and the natural base is gonna fall for the 2nd time today. Science vessel count is just too high. It is just too high for ZerG to deal with here. He's looking for stuff to irradiate, and he can't find anything. Got a ton of energy ready to rock here, too. He's not even bothering to repair up the science vessels, which somebody in the comments will complain about that. Is why not repair up your science vessels? I don't know, man. It's time, I guess. You'd rather have them out on the field irradiating stuff. Oh, the Ultralisk Cavern goes down. Mutalisk does get a hit off after it gets irradiated. Mutalisk trying to catch in here, but IdrA is doing a fantastic job of controlling his units. Coming up the right side, and that's going to be it. There's just no way that ZerG comes back from this situation. He's going to lose his replacement hive. He's going to lose his Queen's Nest. He's down 70 to 155 overall supply. Lings and Ultra sneaking up the south side are going to kill a couple tanks, which is nice, but he has nothing that can handle this many Marines and medics, and science vessels especially. Mutalisk, okay, whittling down the science vessel count a little bit. I mean, sure, there are still 7, mind you. A whiff of a plague there from ZerG, unfortunately. He still does have, again, these bases that are still mining, 2 bases. To a 1 base here for IdrA. If, my gosh. I don't know. I mean, again, economically, ZerG is okay. He really is. He's trying to expand on this bottom right here, too. IdrA is still not able to take a 4th base on that right side. That is still a lifted command center. And the mineral patches are getting pretty sparse up here at the 1 base that he's still mining from. This might come down to ZerG defends these 2 mining bases and can deny that 4th base long enough. And he wins. How did he get all these Zerglings and Ultras? I don't know. Scourge trying to get on top, pulling back. Where are the Defilers? He has a Defiler mound. I see it. Where are they? Here he is. Consume. Irradiate's getting tossed down. Ultralisk needs to pull back. Ultralisk by himself is bad. Look at all this defensive matrix on these Marines. They are airbenders all. There's Irradiate. Dark Swarm pushes the bio back. Do not chase outside the Dark Swarm. Scourge catching a science vessel, I think. No, it might have exploded harmlessly there. And bam, IdrA controls well enough there. I think he's got this thing won. It's 156 to 50 supply. Good game. Good game from ZerG and IdrA. With the good manner in a situation where he wins. Throws out the good game too. Woo, that was pretty interesting. That was a pretty darn good little TVZ there. ZerG player, I feel like is good. There's not much about him on his Liquipedia page, but He impressed me here today, for sure. IdrA just, the macro was too good. It didn't expand super well, but it was enough to just do this. Had the upgrades he needed, had the science vessel count that he needed, and Yar. Hit that like button, by the way, if you like what you saw and what you heard today. But yeah, IdrA, man, taking on the natural base twice, pushing into the main, wiping that thing out, taking down this 4th base once, the 5th base a couple times. Did a great job, great job denying bases from ZerG, and that is a major way to win these battles. Just deny bases, kill hatcheries, and then just have a crazy macro like IdrA does, and just make a million science vessels like IdrA did here. He, at the end of the game with 9, he's just never stopped making those guys, it feels like. Marines, medics, firebats, all pretty good. It's good enough for Flash. It is good enough for IdrA. Handled those ultras pretty well without all that many tanks. The tanks kept dying, but the ultras did not stay in the Dark Swarm as well as they should, and that is hard to control for ZerG. Didn't do that well with it, but sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. Let's go ahead and check out that final score with IdrA getting the win here today. Does end up with 200,000 points to 181 from ZerG. Units killed here, 457, while losing 316 did IdrA. Structures raised by the Terran player 15. That is bad. You cannot win a game if you lose 15 structures as a ZerG player. Those are, those are hatcheries. That is static defense. That is tech structures, is what it is. And then at the end of the day, the ZerG player definitely mined more resources. He had 4 bases to 2 bases there for a while, and mined way more gas, way more minerals, and ended up spending about 11,000 more resources than IdrA did. But IdrA just control, good irradiates all over the place, staying out of the Dark Swarm as best as he could, getting plagued and recovering from it, keeping tanks alive as best he could, and enough to get the win here today. So a really stressful game, I assume, for both players, but IdrA comes out on top. All right, so that's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.